Hello, my name is Wren Kline, and this is my book, If She Was Mine, and I am here today to introduce myself because I have recently posted my 100th video, and I thought it was time. P.S. Watch till the end for a special surprise that's quite possibly a free book. Okay, let's get started. So my name is Wren Kline, and I am a queer writer and reader and just anything books I love. I have written about 15 poetry books. The only one I have published is this one, which is If She Was Mine, but I'm working towards the publication of a few others, as well as some special If She Was Mine stuff coming up, which I'm very excited about. I self-published this book, and I did everything for it on my own. The cover, the writing, editing, all of it. I read and write in romance, fantasy, psychological thriller genres. I really love psychological thrillers, but they scare me, so I can only read like 2 a year. But I'm currently writing a psychological thriller story that I'm really excited about. My main is probably poetry, which I grew up writing stories, and I only started writing poetry about 2 years ago, so I didn't expect that, but I have fallen in love with all of poetry. I read a lot of LGBTQ, and if you've watched any of my videos, you see that I recommend a lot too. That's just a big part of who I am, and I don't really see that as a separate genre. That's just, something that comes with being human. So that's infused into my writing a bit too, especially this book. This book is a sapphic romance poetry collection, and it's based off of real events that happened to me. So, like, from crushes to first loves, all of that is in here. So I guess that's enough about me. I would also like to say that I will not be showing my face, at least for quite a while, just for safety and privacy reasons. I am real, but as a teen author, that's not something I feel comfortable with. But yeah. So this is my book, If She Was Mine. I began writing it in August of 2023, I believe, and I recently published it February 27th of 2025, which is this year. And I did all of it myself. I wrote the first poem in August of 2023, and from there I wrote the rest of it. I edited, I designed the covers, the spine, the inside. You can see there's some art in here. I formatted all of it, and for most of this I used Canva. That was quite a lifesaver. I use Canva for a lot of my stuff. And then I published through Ingram Spark as well as Amazon's KDP for ebooks. Originally I published through Amazon's KDP for paperback as well as Ingram, and I didn't realize that those wouldn't go together, but they don't, so don't try it. Well, unless you get your own ISBN, but I did not have the money for that, sadly, so I used Ingram's. So that's where I'm at. I'll give a little look through the book. So the title is If She Was Mine, and I wanted to break this book apart a bit because it's pretty long. So I took the title and I realized that each of the words, so the if, the she, the was, and the mine, kind of represented different groups of my poems. So the first few really felt like the word if, because they're about the possibilities of love and like crushing on someone and thinking, what if we were a thing? And then the next quite a bit really felt like she, so I put them under that because they're talking about like admiring someone and just how she's so beautiful and you can't get off your mind. The third was, to me, represents what had been. So this was right after I'd gone through a breakup, and it was when I was reminiscing our relationship and considering what was and what now is. And then mine is about when you finally have that person, or you just are really longing for them. They're yours in some ways, but not others, or every way you want them to be. Yeah. I think poetry is really subjective, so what these poems mean to me, they'll probably mean something else to you. But I really love that about the form, and this book is really meaningful to me, so I hope it's meaningful to you too. I would like to share my favorite line that probably I've ever written. I don't know why, but it's in the section Mine, and it's in the poem Just Kiss Me Already. And as you can see, my poetry is very freeform. I found a bit more structure as I've developed my style, but this book, it goes from super rhymey poems to very paragraph heavy, just kind of spilling my thoughts out. For this book specifically, I really wanted to make it very just me and not trying to be someone else. So it's a lot of just my thoughts, my pain, my feelings, just written down however I felt them. So this line that's my favorite is right here. It says, "Maybe you are just meant to be beautiful and I am meant to be bothered, and that is all there is between us." And I've always just found that to be such a touching line. I wrote it and I was immediately like blown away. Sometimes my own writing makes me cry, and this line definitely did. So I think that's pretty much all there is to say about this book. Like I said, I have some special things coming up for it soon, so stay tuned for that. And specifically, at the end of this week, to celebrate the end of Pride Month, not that I want it to end, but to celebrate the end of it, I will be doing a free book promotion on Kindle. So if you have Kindle, you will be able to get my book for free I think it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'll check and I'll put the times and days in the description. So be sure to check that out. I'm super excited to share this. I am a real believer that all writing and literacy, especially LGBTQ works, should be accessible to everyone because it is so important to see yourself and hear your own voice throughout other people's works, and there just isn't enough LGBTQ stuff in media, really. This book, like I said, it is a sapphic poetry book. I wrote it when I thought that I was a lesbian / bisexual, so it was from my perspective as a woman who was crushing on and dating other women. I'm no longer identify with those terms. I use mostly queer now, just because I don't love labels, but I do still consider this a sapphic poetry book. Either way, it's LGBTQ, so go read it, celebrate Pride Month, and I hope you enjoy it, and I can't wait to see you soon. Bye!